G'day folks, what is going on? Gonna be a little bit of a different video today. I just made a post on social media and wanted to accompany it with a video for those of you that maybe don't follow on Instagram or Facebook or whatever. And it's gonna be a little bit different, as I said. Normally the content's around, strategy and tactics and stuff for selling your advice and your coaching and your consulting, building a consulting business online. But I wanted to make a video on my first 30 days being a dad. And just as a little side lesson, I think sometimes with content, we can get stuck in the what should I make to keep things really niche down and focus. But I think also what's really, really important is if you're looking into potentially working with somebody, be that myself or other people, right? Or if they're looking to work with you, if you're selling your stuff, I think it's really important that you find someone that you have a connection with or an alignment with on a deeper level other than just strategies and tactics, because I think that's what's going to make the mentor-mentee or coaching dynamic even more effective, right? And so wanted to, shift lanes a little bit in this one and just talk about my first 30 days as a dad. All right, so it's the 22nd of August as I sit here and film. I'm just out on the balcony having a cup of coffee. I was just getting a bit of work done, and then I've got a client call coming up shortly. And so on Saturday, the little man was a month old. Now, straight out of the gate, I can say everyone told me that it was going to go fast, and I expected that, but it's gone even faster than I thought it would, which is kind of scary. But I guess time flies when you're having fun. By that it's kind of crazy and a little bit scary how fast it has really, really flown by. And just how quickly you go from you're in this kind of little bubble in the hospital for a little while, and then you go home and it's just kind of back to normal. But now there's this other human that you've got to look after and is your sole responsibility. And I have to say it's been pretty seamless. I think we've been incredibly lucky and incredibly blessed. He's really relaxed. He's really chilled out. He's been sleeping really well. I made another post on Facebook over the weekend about a bed that we bought called a snoo, which kind of moves and settles him and stuff and plays some sounds, and that seems to have helped a lot. I think he is a pretty chilled out baby and a pretty good sleeper to begin with, but this has been really helpful. So I'm very lucky that it feels like it's been pretty seamless. Also lucky in the fact that obviously I work from home because of my business. Liana doesn't have to work too much. She does some stuff, not at the moment. She's taken at least 6 months off, so that's meant that we can both be super present, which has been awesome. Aside from a little trip I took on the weekend to go down to Melbourne and catch up with Jamie about some business stuff, I haven't been more than a couple of meters away from the little dude for the first month, which has just been amazing, and I'm incredibly grateful for that. It makes you reflect on the decisions that you've made, and I go back 5 years almost when I decided to come online full time, and I think about the alternative, which is that I would have been back to work in a couple of weeks after he was born, and then I would have been back to cranking massive hours if I was still in the corporate game, and I just wouldn't have been able to spend anywhere nearly as much time with him, especially in this initial phase, right? He hasn't even had all of his shots yet. That's in a couple of weeks, and so we haven't really been going out a lot. We've been out to a couple of dinners here and there, but being pretty selective about where we go, nowhere too busy. And so we've just been kind of hanging out at home a fair bit, going for walks and not doing a lot, and just being able to be super present has been really, really awesome. So kind of aside from that, a couple of I don't know if they're light bulbs or just thoughts that have popped up for me over the last couple of weeks, having gone through this experience. Whenever people have kind of asked, and I'm super grateful to all the people that have reached out and said congratulations and asked me how it's been going, and been really supportive from kind of my community online, which has just been amazing. The first thing that really comes to mind, and when I've been asked by people how the experience has been, is that life before was really good. Business going well, obviously you get to live in an amazing place. I love the Gold Coast. I've been able to live in different places around the world, and this place is insane. I love it. Coming home yesterday from the trip, it's just yes, this is right. I always get excited when I get to come home, which is, I think that's a pretty good sign. And so life felt good. But then this little dude comes along and kind of fills a hole that you didn't even know was there, right? Something that brings Liana and I even closer together. He was obviously part of both of us, literally. and just takes enjoyment and fulfillment to kind of a whole different level that you didn't even know there was this gap, and he's come along and filled it. It's kind of hard to articulate, but it's probably the best way that I can describe it. And then I guess what flows off the back of that too is like, it's only been a month, right? It's been 1 month. Like months, as you get older anyway, I feel like the months just click by so quickly. And it's only been 1 month, and yet you go from not knowing this little human to them becoming your whole world in like 4 weeks, which is like 4 weeks normally moves so fast, and it has moved fast, but the relationship and the bond and the connection that you build in such a short period of time, like it's instant, right? Like as soon as you see him for the first time, it's like, oh, holy crap, like it's crazy. So that's been pretty insane as well, how is, you know, in relatively a short period of time, this little human comes along that becomes your entire world. It's pretty amazing, and it's really hard to put the experience into words. I think it's one of those things that, and look, I totally understand that having kids isn't going to be for everybody. It was something that I always wanted to do, and was pretty strong on that. I was pretty certain on that, I should say. But it's definitely not going to be, definitely not going to be for everybody. But I think it is one of those things that it's tricky to articulate, and you have to really experience it. So that's been a big light bulb, was that like I was really happy in my life before, but it just things have just gone to a whole new level in terms of this little dude comes along and just makes everything better. It just filled a hole that you didn't even know was there. It's probably the best way that I can really articulate it. I think going beyond that, you pretty rapidly, well, for me anyway, say you, me, I feel like I've experienced a pretty rapid shift in purpose. Obviously before it was me and Liana, and I was kind of working and building and creating. I don't really think about myself in that process. I more think about her and us and my extended family, and that's more been my motivation and drive to build. Is I'm pretty simple in terms of the things that make me happy. Like the big thing for me is where I get to live, and obviously it's an amazing place. But beyond that, like when I was younger, I was more interested in cars and stuff, but that's kind of faded away. If I've got good people around me, I get to live in a place that I love, good food, I don't need more than that. I'm incredibly happy. I don't even want like the big house. I love living in an apartment. It's super low maintenance. You close the door, it's all locked up, it's done. I don't need the super fancy stuff. So the motivation for me to build, like I'm happy that it's 10 o'clock in the morning or whatever it is, and I can sit out here and film a video, and I don't have to wear shoes in the office and don't have to wear a suit. I can enjoy the sunshine, and there's like a whale just jumped out of the water. Like that's the shit that gets me excited these days. And so the motivation for me has more been about how can I support the people around me? How can I make it so that Liana doesn't have to work. She only works because she wants to and she enjoys it. How can I be there for my family around me, be that financially or otherwise? Both my parents have had health issues. More recently, Dad was able to, go to all of his appointments and be able to sit there with him all day and not have to worry about taking time off from work or dealing with a boss or whatever. Been able to help out my granddad who's in his 90s. So that's been the drive for me. And with the little man coming on now, it just adds a whole nother layer to that, right? Obviously he fits into that kind of family mix, but even more close in and close proximity because he's our kid. So it adds a whole new layer to drive and motivation and purpose to build something really, really cool, to be able to give him a life and give him experiences that will and education and that will set him up well. Like I got a lot of amazing opportunities growing up because my parents worked really hard. I want to show him that, and I want to show him the benefits of hard work, and that if you put the effort in, good things happen, right? Whatever the field may be. So setting that example, creating opportunities, creating experiences, hopefully, letting him do things that maybe not a lot of kids get to experience, and being able to provide a really unique, childhood experience for him that just adds up. So it's just added this whole new layer of drive and purpose and motivation to what I'm building and what I want to build, because I want to be able to unlock those doors for him, and I want to demonstrate the benefits of working really hard and what comes out the other side. The light bulb for me, as I went through high school and then into university and then into my career and then online, was that if I put in the hard work on something and move in a certain focused direction, it's really not a matter of if, it's a matter of when it works. And there's always going to be periods of big challenge, but if you can stick it out longer than other people, if your pain threshold is higher, you'll win and you'll come out the other side and you'll get the rewards from it. And so I really want to be able to demonstrate that to him, and also, make sure that we're giving him a life that presents a lot of opportunities. And then it's really ultimately up to him if he takes that or not, and giving him the frameworks to, be able to really carve out his own path. So I think that's the other element, is that very rapidly, I didn't know, I assumed this would happen. I assumed that there would be a flow-on effect to kind of my why and my motivation and drive and everything, but it's happened incredibly fast. Like it's kicked in. It kicked in nearly instantly. I think that, that moment of realization of like, oh, there's another human being that I've got to, really look after, and they're so little and they're so helpless, and you just want to give them the world. Right. So that's been the other thing that's kicked in really quickly in the first month. And then I guess one other point that's really cool is that it feels like everything's new again. Like I've been living down here for a few years now, and we kind of get to the weekends, and we've done a lot of the stuff locally. We might try a new restaurant or whatever, but we've, like Gold Coast isn't that big. We've traveled around a lot of Australia. We've both done a fair bit of travel overseas at different times. So we've been able to do a lot of stuff kind of through our 20s and into our early 30s. And it wasn't like the weekends were boring or anything, but like there just wasn't anything that we'd get to the weekend and there wasn't anything immediately pressing, I guess, that we really wanted to do. And so what's really cool is that all those little simple things, like going for a walk to get coffee, or going to this restaurant, or going to that restaurant, or going to this part of town, or taking that short trip, or going for a drive up to Brisbane, where Eliana's family is, my family are kind of between the two. All of that stuff becomes new again, and everything that you do becomes new again, right? And I get that he's only a month old, and he doesn't really know what's going on, but you kind of feel like you get to share all of that with them for the first time, right? Like we went out to dinner the other night at one of our favorite restaurants on the Gold Coast that we go to a lot, and we took him along, and it was just so exciting because we've been there a million times and we love it, but it just had this completely different feel because we got to take him along, and we had the stroller at the table with us, and it's kind of hard to explain, but the simple things that you've done a million times all become new again, right? Like my granddad doesn't live too far up the road, and I've walked up countless times to go see him, and it's awesome to be able to take the little man up, and it's really exciting because I know he's going to be so pumped to see him. And so he just adds this new element to everything that makes it fresh, makes it new, makes it really exciting, which is kind of almost like a born again type experience, I guess, is how you would describe it. So that's been cool, and I hadn't really thought about that too much. And I thought that from like the moment we left the hospital, because we're in the hospital for like 4 or 5 nights and didn't really leave, and then driving home, it was kind of this it was like re-entering life. It almost felt like starting over again. It's a whole new season where everything is new. Old is new again. Yeah, interesting, but kind of hard to articulate. But that's just a couple of things that I wanted to share and thoughts that have come up for me over the last month. Appreciate this is very different from the stuff that I normally talk about, but kind of felt compelled to share it a little bit. So those of you that have watched, thank you. I appreciate it. Those of you that have reached out and been amazingly supportive, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And thanks for hanging out with me in this one. Stick around on the channel. Got some cool stuff coming. Team's got some good videos ready to upload. At the time I film this, they may have already gone up. Depends on the sequence of things as they kind of roll out. But we've got some cool stuff going on, and I'm going to be going deeper and deeper on helping folks really, how do you build a boutique consulting business that allows you to make multi 6 figures a year, 7 figures a year, with a lean team, lean business model, creating content, selling without sales calls so that you can have a clear calendar and do the stuff that you want to do, actually work with your clients, live, have flexibility, travel. It's not about not working, but it's about being able to do it on your terms and not necessarily following a certain and set mold. So excited to keep sharing that with you guys and going deeper and deeper and deeper on it. But I appreciate you hanging out with me in this one. I'm going to finish my coffee and I'm going to crack on for the day. Have a good one. Cheers.